Okay, for today's video, we are going over my Skylanders Spyro's Adventure Re-Randomizer Nuzlocke. Definitely my most controversial Nuzlocke yet, and obviously there will be huge spoilers for the series, so if you want to watch the series before being spoiled, there will be a link in the description to the series, but if not, or if you've already watched the series, you are free to continue. Some quick information and rules about this lock before I go over what happened. I won't go over all the rules, but just the main ones. Obviously, it's got the basic Nuzlocke rules of once a Skylander is defeated, they can't be used again in the rest of the playthrough. And in my randomizer series, at least, for Spyro's Adventure, we get a new randomized Skylander around every 3 chapters with one of each element. Okay, so the series starts out really good. We choose our starter Whirlwind over Voodoo and Stump Smash, the other starter options the randomizer gave us. This is the only time in the series where we have any say in which of the Skylanders the randomizer gives us. But I did choose Whirlwind because she was one of my favorites growing up. So we beat the first few super easy chapters. Then the randomizer actually gives us Voodoo, one of the other starter options we had. Then we continue to do good with the easy first few chapters, then add Flameslinger, little spoiler, one of the best performing Skylanders in this lock, which you all will see throughout this video. Then we have our first Chaos fight, the Water Elemental Chaos fight at Leviathan Lagoon. Probably my favorite chapter in this game, where we use Whirlwind, who performs very well, and we don't have any issues. We keep doing good with these relatively easy chapters, then add Hex. So far, so good. Trust me, this can and will change very fast. The next Chaos fight is Life, where we use Flameslinger, who does great against Chaos's evil Life Skylanders. Then we add Boomer, a Skylander I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't think he's like bad or weak, but out of the whole SSA roster, he's probably my least favorite design-wise, which has caused me to use him very little. Now we get into the first moment in the series where we have a Skylander kind of getting a tough, bad spot with Whirlwind. And this is at Battlefield. I don't think I've ever really thought I was going to lose her here, but this was definitely the scariest moment in the lock so far. But after that, we do add Slam Bam. Still no Skylander lost yet, and really haven't been in a bad spot where I really thought we were going to lose a Skylander yet. But this is right around the undead portion of the game, or right at it, I should say. But this is where I do think the difficulty of the game jumps up quite a bit. Now we definitely have our scariest moment in the series with Hex. I 100% thought we were losing her here at Cadaver's Crypt, I don't know, whatever, this chapter.
Sorry, Liam. Oh crap, okay, yeah, so that's those two dudes do crazy damage. Okay. Oh crap. Oh no. This is gonna suck. Okay, we need heal. We need help. Okay. I really thought we lost Hex right there. And we might still, but... Crap, oh crap. Please drop food. Ah, crap. We need food. $60 health is way too little. Okay, we need to get rid of the spell pump. Watermelon. Oh my gosh, that might have been one of my biggest clutches ever if Hex gets out of this chapter.
Now, after our big scare, which could be a sign of things to come, we start one of my worst chapters in the game, being Creepy Citadel. Both Nuzlocks I've done before this one, I have lost at least one Skylander here. So I decided to start the chapter with Voodoo, but he doesn't even make it to the Undead Chaos fight before getting knocked out, making this our first loss in the series and ruining our chances of having a perfect or no lost Skylander lock. Next we use Slam Bam, who was doing really good, but got taken out in the boss fight, which really sucked because Slam Bam seemed to be really good in this log, but I just don't think I had him long enough and used him enough to really get good and comfortable with his moveset. Then we used Hex, who didn't do too well, just going to be honest. But I honestly thought she was our worst Skylander in the lock so far, so I wasn't too upset about losing her, other than the fact that she made our third Skylander loss on this one chapter. I think making this easily the worst I performed in a chapter since my first Nuzlocke attempt. But luckily we still have Flameslinger, who was able to close out this chapter and finish the boss fight. On the bright side though, after losing 3 Skylanders in one chapter, we did get one of my favorites, being Bash, who I genuinely think is one of the best Skylanders in this game. Now we have another chapter I was actually a little worried about, the Fire Chaos fight, because I have lost a Skylander in this chapter every time so far, but Flameslinger does great here and we don't lose anyone. And now we get to the point where the title of this series starts to live up to its name, or at least the first moment where it does, in Quicksilver Vault with Bash. So I'm just going to show you all what happened with my live reaction and audio.
But 80 damage is just so much that like it adds up quick. Yeah, I was gonna say, how many more hits can you? What the heck?
So as you all just saw, Bash just lost all his full health from one attack. And I believe this was some error with this cutscene occurring right as we defeated this Archean Ultron, because there is no possible way we should have been able to have been defeated here for multiple reasons. First, the damage these rockets cause from one hit cannot deal this much damage, especially not enough to one-hit Bash, a fairly bulky Skylander at full health, because he appears to miss the first and second wave of rockets. Someone commented on the video about how splash damage could have caused this, which is possible, but with this being the third wave of rockets, they are so spaced out where at max Bash should have only been hit by one. And even if Bash took damage from rockets on the second wave and the third wave, with as spaced out as they are, he should have been easily able to survive, even if he did take a little bit of splash damage. So I decided to retry this chapter to see how much damage the rockets deal and how far the splash damage range is, and I think this clip speaks for itself and shows that what happened was clearly an error, because here Bash on the first wave of rockets, which are way closer, only gets hit by one rocket, the one he is directly under. So it appears there is no splash damage or a very, very small range of splash damage, because he would have easily taken more here. Also, the thing that I think really proves Bash was knocked out by an error was what happens when you watch this clip slowed down or in 0.25x speed, where you can see Bash missed the second wave of rockets. So here he is still at full health, but as I skip the cutscene, you can see Bash instantly gets hit by what appears to be damage from multiple rockets, but only under 1x, because you can see multiple damage hits, which should not be possible, especially not to the extent to knock Bash out where he is. And the other issue here is the rockets do not even appear in the sky. Normally the rockets appear in the sky above you, and you have a little bit of time to react, but in this situation, even in slow motion, the rockets are never visible in the sky, but the damage from multiple rockets is clearly there. So in this moment, I thought this was some issue or error, which is why I decided to actually keep Bash in the series at the moment. But after reviewing it, I definitely believe it was some error with the cutscene occurring, and I don't really regret my decision to keep Bash in the series. However, I do sort of have mixed feelings on him throughout this, for keeping him in this series, even though I do think it was an error. But I don't regret keeping him still, with my mixed feelings on it. Okay, now that we are done with that part and I'm done defending my reasons for keeping Bash and why I think it was an error, we can move on to the addition of our last Skylander in this lock, which was probably actually our strongest, Stealth Elf, who I did really want to get in this series because after already losing 3 Skylanders before Chaos, we could definitely use her strength. And since we already had Flameslinger, I really wanted to get her because I think they pair really well together as the 2 Spyro Adventure elves. And when I was little, I always kind of thought of these two as a couple, so I was really happy to pair her with Flameslinger in this lock. So now, heading into the Chaos boss fight, we have 5 Skylanders left. Flameslinger, Stealth Elf, Bash, and Boomer. And if I didn't mention Whirlwind as well. A very solid 5 that I thought we could win with. But I have lost a Nuzlocke at this fight before, so I definitely didn't want to be too cocky going into it. But now we are about to get into the second controversial moment in this series. So I decided to start Lair of Chaos with Boomer, the Skylander I felt was most expendable with the plan of getting as far as I could with him and letting our powerhouses like Stealth Elf really defeat Chaos. So Boomer actually does really well, gets all the way through the layer of Chaos, and is ready to deal some damage against Chaos. But only one big issue. The Chaos boss fight would not load. The screen literally just went pure black and we couldn't do anything. And I waited there for a few minutes and literally the screen just stays black. So I restarted the chapter, only this time Boomer doesn't make it all the way to the actual Chaos boss fight. I generally think I was playing a little too aggressive and fast, just trying to get through the chapter to see if it would load this time. But in the process of doing that, I did unfortunately get Boomer knocked out. So I used Stealth Elf and got to the boss fight, and once again, it didn't load. So I tried to figure out what could be the issue because I can't ever remember having this issue. I'd love to know if anybody else has had this issue where the Chaos boss fight just won't load. But I decided to look it up online and saw some people saying it could possibly be due to a console overheating. So I turned my Wii off and let it cool for a bit and tried again. Funny enough though, the stuff I saw online, I think it was actually somebody talking about their Xbox or PlayStation while I'm playing on the Wii. But luckily this time we actually do get to go all the way to the Chaos fight and actually do get to fight him. But one issue, what do I do with Boomer? Because he did get knocked out, but it was in an attempt of redoing a chapter because the chapter didn't load properly the first time. So, as you all can see, I was kind of in a predicament of do we keep Boomer in or not? So I ended up deciding to keep Boomer in the series and just let whatever happens happen. In this third attempt of trying this chapter, if he gets knocked out before fighting Chaos, fine, but if he makes it to fighting Chaos and does some damage, fine as well. I definitely didn't feel great about this decision or what to do here, but I just thought that was the most fair because he really should have made it because the first attempt, that's what happens, and the only time he doesn't make it to the Chaos fight is in the second attempt of just redoing it and kind of rushing it. But I can kind of see why some people would have issues with this. But Boomer actually does make it all the way to Chaos and deals some decent damage to Chaos before eventually getting knocked out. So I'd like to think this is what would have happened if the chapter loaded properly the first time, but I guess we will never really know. Luckily, we have an absolute monster on this team that was just waiting to fight Chaos, Stealth Elf. She does amazing. With all the issues getting to this point, finally getting there, Stealth Elf was definitely ready and up for the challenge. And she does great and does defeat Chaos. I really think she could have probably beat Chaos on her own, even without Boomer's help on dealing damage. And after Chaos, we still do the adventure packs, which I love doing because in a series like this, they really are some fun, relaxing few chapters that you can enjoy because you know you have most likely survived the Nuzlocke because these chapters are much easier than the ones you have just got through. And with having 4 Skylanders left and 4 adventure packs, I chose to use 1 Skylander for each adventure pack, starting with Flameslinger for Empire of Ice, so I could do like the classic theme of Fire vs. Ice, and unintentionally cause Flameslinger to be the Cyclops #1 op, because we used him in Crystal Eye Castle as well, which I think is kind of funny because it sets up for the masked elf whose eyes you don't see, fighting a bunch of one-eyed monsters. Next we have Pirate Seas, where we use Stealth Elf, because I think she really fits the pirate theme, kind of looking like a pirate, and as an anime fan, I think the idea of the ninja elf that wears a mask, kind of like Kakashi, fighting pirates, making it almost like combining Naruto and One Piece. But I really don't like this chapter. Between the matching game and the pirate boat portion, it just makes for a very long, slow chapter, and probably easily my least favorite of the SSA adventure packs. Next, Darklight Crypt, a much better chapter than the last, with the super cool Ghost World and Real World flip mechanic. I used Bash here because with him being an earth or like ground dragon, I could literally just see him digging underground and just like ending up at a place like this. And finally, Dragon's Peak, the last chapter, and finishing it up with the Skylander that started it all, Whirlwind, who I think just fits this chapter perfectly. With all the dragon stuff and air element stuff, I think she like literally fits it perfectly. And honestly, I think she would have made more sense for this adventure pack than the Skylander that came with, which was Sunburn. And this is how the series went. Overall, really happy with the series, how it went, even with its ups and downs. Oh wait, there's actually more. So I actually decided to record one more video for this series. I decided to replay the chapters that were affected by the 2 big controversial moments and attempted them from the points where the Skylanders were possibly defeated to see a what if or a what could have happened if I counted the knockouts from earlier. And like I said, I don't regret my decision to take those Skylanders or keep the Skylanders in, but I did want to do this to kind of do two things. To prove to people that had issues with me keeping them that the series would have just went fine and we still hopefully would win. And also just to kind of see the what if we did do it. And also just give some additional fun content for those of you all that did enjoy the series. So the bash clip I showed earlier of showing the rocket damage and possible splash damage was actually recorded during this video. Starting with the chapter we had the bash incident with, I used Flameslinger from the point where Bash was possibly knocked out. I did have a few little scares here because I was playing a little dumb to kind of just prove a point while recording, but I did make it through without losing anyone. Then I redid the Chaos boss fight from the Lair of Chaos portion, exactly where Boomer got knocked out. So with Stealth Elf beginning the Chaos boss fight, she was kicking butt, and then I made the stupid decision of getting a little cocky and lost her. But luckily we were still able to defeat Chaos without her, but with Flameslinger, who got revenge for his girl. But I still think I should have been able to defeat Chaos here with just Stealth Elf, but I screwed up. I literally just got a little overconfident and said, oh, here we go, this should be easy from here, and that's exactly when it got hard. But so in this hypothetical, after the Chaos fight, we would actually only have 2 Skylanders left, being Flameslinger and Whirlwind for the adventure packs. Really not that big of a deal, though, because the adventure packs are so easy that really, I think you would be completely fine if you only had 1 Skylander, but you'd like to have 2 just for the insurance if you started to play really bad, but I think you'd really be fine if you just had 1 left for the adventure packs. But I decided to redo Darklight Crypt with Flameslinger because where we used Bash in the earlier attempt for the like real attempt, but in this attempt where we wouldn't have had Bash, I thought Flameslinger was really cool for this chapter because having the covered-eyed elf fight the big one-eyed monster I thought was a pretty cool idea. And I guess I technically probably should have also redone Pirate Seas as well since what happened with Stealth Elf, but I didn't think to do it, and honestly, kind of glad I didn't because that is not my favorite chapter. It's so long and boring, and it's not hard at all, so I guess some people could have issue with me not redoing that chapter, but I 100% have I 100% believe we could have easily defeated that chapter with Whirlwind or Flameslinger. So that is what could have happened in this Nuzlocke, or what you can count if you think these potential knockouts I kept in the series should have counted. Overall, though, for real now, I think this was a great Nuzlocke. I had a ton of fun, and we did complete the series with 4 Skylanders and 4 losses, tying my previous best attempt in an SSA Nuzlocke, or worse than that if you count the controversial possible knockouts. Either way, though, we did survive the series, and now you all can see why I gave this video the name I did, because I definitely think this was a very controversial Nuzlocke with what all happened, but I'm so happy that I decided to retry the chapters to kind of prove we still would have completed the series and just show a fun hypothetical. So, but yeah, even with all the ups and downs, I still think this turned out to be a pretty good series. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about how each Skylander performed and just my thoughts on them after this series. Starting with the starter Whirlwind, I think she did really solid, especially in the first half of the series where she was one of our best Skylanders. I do really think she could have been even better, though, if I'd chosen to go down her other pathway. But she was really solid throughout this log, and super happy our starter was able to make it all the way through this series, even in both hypotheticals, or in the hypotheticals and the real attempt. And next, Voodoo, even though he was our first loss, I was really happy with Voodoo and actually enjoyed using him more than I thought I would have. But I do wish he would have made it further because, like I said, unfortunately, he was our first loss. And then Flameslinger. The Skylander, I would honestly say, was probably the MVP of this series. Consistently doing great, had multiple big moments throughout this series, especially against Chaos. And I think he definitely has one of the most fun movesets, especially once you get comfortable with him. Hex, on the other hand, was possibly our worst Skylander in this lot. She had some awesome moments in this series, but I just don't think she is that great. Maybe her other pathway is better, or I just didn't use her the right way. I don't do great with the Skylanders that have like a wall or like protection move because I just don't like using those types of moves. But also I have heard she gets much better in Giants with her Wow Pal, so maybe we'll find out when we do the Giants randomizer. Next, though, we have Boomer, a Skylander I was surprisingly more happy with and like more after this series because, like I said, he was actually one of my least favorite Skylanders, but he actually did really well throughout this whole lot, even though he did eventually get defeated and with his controversial moment. Then we have Slam Bam. Really hate what happened with him in this log. I think he is really good, but when I decided to use him in the Undead boss fight, I wasn't good enough with him yet with his moveset, and didn't use him as well as I could have, causing his unfortunate defeat very early in a tough spot. But I still do think he is a really good Skylander and would love to use him again in a future Nuzlocke. Then Bash, my personal favorite Skylander, but unfortunately I do have very mixed feelings on him for this Nuzlocke because of what happened with him. I still 100% believe his knockout was an error and don't regret my decision to keep him in the lock, but it does cause me to have mixed feelings for him, at least in this lock. Then finally Stealth Elf. She played great, honestly, as I kind of expected, and did so well against Chaos. The only bad thing about her is we got her so late in this lock. Honestly, probably a good thing though, because she honestly kind of is overpowered in this game in my opinion. And I think she's easily one of the best SSA Skylanders, if not the best. And also one of the most fun move sets to use between her crazy damage output and just her speed, making chapters go really fast. But yeah, so that was the team. And my thoughts on the team, all overall, really enjoyed this team. And I think it was a great, really fun, solid team. I did want to mention here, though, on the overall team part, I do really love how this team turned out. And I love, like, some of the, like combined group members we had, like Stealth Elf and Flameslinger, like I mentioned. I love that those two were able to pair up. Honestly, probably our best two Skylanders in this lock. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this team. Super fun. Didn't have really any really weak spots, but did definitely have some highs. So I definitely think this was a really fun group. But now, if you enjoyed this video or this series, we will have one more randomizer lock in Spyro's Adventure, being the Skylander Spyro's Adventure remaining random Nuzlocke, where we will use the 8 remaining Skylanders that the randomizer hasn't given us, including Drobot, Spyro, Igniter, and the other remaining 5. You might be confused how this is going to be a random series, but pretty much the only randomized aspect will really be the elements, like deciding the order, because yeah, it is really not much of a random or like a surprise of which Skylanders will be on the team, but more of the order in which they join the team, because we've used the other 75% of the SSA roster. But after the remaining random lock is finished, we will start the Giants randomizer lock soon. Maybe not right away though, because I kind of have a few other series that I would really like to do on Spyro's Adventure first that I still would like to do. And I do really still need to get a bunch of the Giants figures for that lock. So I'll still need to hunt down some Giants figures. So it kind of just makes for me probably needing to do that series first. Or maybe might have a little bit of a gap in recording if we're going to just keep, doing Nuzlocks if you all want to go straight to the Giants lock. But if you all did enjoy this series and don't want to wait for the Giants lock or those other locks, we do have 2 previous randomizer attempts in Spyro's Adventure that are already recorded. The original Spyro's Adventure randomizer lock and the Spyro's Adventure Re-Randomizer lock. I really enjoyed both those series. Very similar to this one, so if you enjoyed this series, you'll definitely like those if you haven't. Now here at the very end, I do want to say this is genuinely, I believe, one of the best videos I have ever made and one that I've probably put the most time and effort into. So if you made it this far and enjoyed this video, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. But yeah, that's it. I hope you all, once again, I want to say I really hope you all enjoyed this video. I had a ton of fun making it and a ton of fun recording all the gameplay, obviously. But I'd love to know what you all think on the series. Love to know specifically what you think I should have done or what you would have done in those 2 controversial moments. And would also just love to know who you thought performed best in this series, if you watched the whole series or the recap. And I'd love to know which one of those you did. If you just watched this recap video or the whole series or just bits and pieces of both. But once again, thank you all so much for watching this series, and I am out.